Hello, everyone. Uh, those of you who are watching live and those of you who are watching the replay, I am so grateful that you guys all gave up your evening to be here. I happen to know that time is our most precious commodity. So the fact that you're giving me your time and giving your business the time that it needs is saying a lot about you and your dedication, and your drive, your desire of what you want. This specifically is for Stampin' Up! Demonstrators who want to grow their business in 2024. You might not even consider it a business. You might consider it a hobby that you would like to be able to, you know, make it a business or make it just profitable, make some money from it. And so that's why you're here. And I'm grateful that you are here for that. It's exactly who I'll be talking to. So today's training is a free training that I'm offering. It is based on some business basic foundations. But before I jump into that, there's lots of new names and faces that I've never met before. So I want to take just a brief moment to introduce myself and to tell you a little bit about me, why I'm here today and why you're listening. And That I think is very important so that you can give validity to what you're hearing. So my name is Ronda Wade. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator just like you. I run classes just like you. I am looking for customers just like you. I want to grow my team. I love Stampin' Up! I love Stampin' Up! Products, and I started as a hobbyist just like everyone else. I did, before I started Stampin' Up!, have previous direct sales knowledge that really helped me to be able to start off very quickly. Actually, when I joined, I was just joining for fun, just like like most people. And I was joining just for the discount. But after about a year of me playing and having some classes and spending all the money that I was making on more stuff and just happy doing that, my husband lost his job. And I was told, or we discussed, that either I had to go get a real kind of job where I was making a substantial income, or I asked my husband to give me 3 months because he had 3 months severance pay, um, to make my Stampin' Up! Business actually produce an income. And he gave me those 3 months, and that's exactly why I focused in on Stampin' Up! As a business. During those 3 months, I learned that this was an incredible direct sales company, and it was a place that not only could I flourish, but also have an income that I greatly needed at the time, and obviously appreciate the fact that I could be creative and still make this a business. So with all that being said, since that day, I've earned the incentive trip every year. I have been in the top 10 to top 15 of the company every year since then. 15 years ago, pretty much to the date, I was pregnant with my fourth child. So I had several children during the time that I was a demonstrator. But the fourth one, if any of you have had four kids, you know that one is different. That one like shuts you down. It shuts your body down too. And at that time, I was very busy in my business. It was one of the years when I was number one in the company, actually, and I was very busy, but my body completely shut down. So I knew I could not continue running the kind of classes that I was and being gone 10 to 15 nights a month. So that was when I created and started my training business 15 years ago. And I had a small handful of clients to begin with, and it dramatically changed their businesses. And I started to open it up to more and more and more demonstrators. Um, it- Within the last 15 years, there has been thousands and thousands of people a part of this training business. And today there's still over 600. And it is extremely successful, and it's very powerful. But it's always all about uh, positive reinforcement of real things that really work. So we don't share concepts, we don't share fly by the night ideas. We always share very tried and true business concepts that produce results. And you're learning from a real demonstrator and demonstrators. I know I don't know it all. So I pull from a lot of very incredible, successful demonstrators that concepts that work. So that's who I am, and that's where I am today. It has been 15 years, and the Creating Success training program is bigger than it ever has been. Last year, mind you, there's about 300 people who earn the incentive trip every year. Every single year, we have had almost 200 people in the training program earn the incentive trip. And there's a reason for that. Number one, it helps you earn the incentive trip. You follow the steps, you'll earn the trip. Number two, people who are working at a high level of business need support and help. And this training program gives that support and help. But today, so that is about me. It's about why I'm here. And it's about hopefully why you can take what I'm going to tell you and don't question it. Don't question it. Don't be, but what if? You can question it if you want to, but still do it and see the results yourself. You are going to be learning from things that thousands, not just a couple, thousands of demonstrators put into practice and see results. So you don't have to question the concepts. What you need to question is your work ethic, your dedication, your confidence, your ability to be dedicated, persevere, and put things into practice. That is what's going to make the difference. There are thousands of people who listen to all the training, and just tonight alone, there's going to be well over 15 to 1600. And what's going to make the difference is you. You have it. Every one of you have it. I don't care how young you are. I don't care how old you are. I have an 84-year-old woman who earned the incentive trip, 72-year-old, 70s, 60s, everywhere in between. I don't care what size you are. I don't care anything about you. I have seen every single person. What makes the difference is your action. Even if you have the confidence or not, but you believe in what you're listening and you take action on it. So today I'm going to share with you, there's three sections, and they are the very basic concepts. So today, if you want to learn how to build an online business and run a blog, and that's not today. These concepts, though, need to be a part of your business for that to work. If you're coming today to learn how to run retreats and big events and build a team of hundreds, we're not covering that today. But the concepts we're going to cover have to be in place to make those things happen. So today is about foundational concepts that personally I start with every single one of my team members, every demonstrator, every training client who comes to me. This is where we start. They always want to talk about, what about this? And I want to build a blog, and I want to build an online business, and I want to do reels, and I want to run retreats, and I want to do all these big things. And I'm like, slow down. Let's talk about your pricing. Let's talk about your marketing. And let's talk about some very basic concepts. Because if these three things are not the foundation, you cannot ever do those other things successfully. I'm sure you have heard the concept that a tower to be built, it needs to be built on solid foundation, not quicksand. Sometimes we want that quick, easy fix because it feels like we're working hard and it feels like we're successful. But I promise you, there is one thing you'll never hear come out of Rhonda's mouth, and that's fluff. I honestly care about your success. I don't want you just to feel good. I do want that, but I want it to be genuine. I want you to actually have the right steps that you feel good off of, things that are going to sustain itself down the road. So we're going to talk about three basic foundational things that every single business needs to have in place in order to do everything else and find the success. Now, success is different to everyone. I'm just looking at you to be profitable, to be able to build sales. And then from there, the more that you do, the more profitable you are. The more that you do, the more sales that you will generate. So we have to have these basic concepts in place. Throughout the year, I will do many different training series and topics. And I always want to spend more time on pricing, more time on marketing, more time on basic concepts. And I can't because I'm focusing on other aspects. So this training is that. It is going to give you the real nuts and bolts of some of the basic foundations for us to be successful and to reach your goals. And this will be one, we're going to give each piece about 15 minutes of our time. So that is a little bit about me, a little bit about the training, a little bit, hopefully, why you're listening today with an open heart and an open mind, and to know that you have an incredible gift. Every one of you, every single person, your gift is actually a little bit different, but you have a gift of creativity and then the desire to share that with others. And it's, yes, about creativity, but it's also so much about those connections, relationships as well. Please know that that is the heart of who I am. And you know, I'm a Gemini, so there's very two different sides of me. So that is the heart of who I am, and that is where I come to you from. But I happen to bring my brain with me, and I happen to bring the other side with me. And that is a side that is say, you need to also get paid for your time. You also need to be able to achieve and earn and make money to show your family and your friends and to why do you work so hard every day? Yes, it's about the heart. Yes, it's about the friendships. Yes, those are all, to me, the most beautiful reasons why I work every day so hard. But my brain is telling me it's to be able to pay my bills and to provide for my family and to represent to my children a hardworking, dedicated, goal-setting mom who is going to make things happen. So know that you have the both of the best of me, and I'm here, showed up for you today to show you those things. So I will always lead with the heart and lead with the right reasons, and also to be able to make money and be profitable and get paid for what the gift is that you have, that you are sharing. There's nothing wrong with making money. There is nothing wrong with being profitable. There's nothing wrong with doing things ethically and fairly. There is good that can come of that. A lot of people are very embarrassed about that fact. And I'm here to tell you that it is empowering to know that you can do very powerful and good things with the income that you're making. So let's jump in. Our first topic is going to be pricing. And I'm starting here. I am going to screen share the document that I showed all of you, just because I know not everybody was able to probably see that. So I'm just going to share that document so we can go through it together. Hey, Rose Ward, you are on my screen. Can you shake your head if you can see my screen okay? Okay, thank you. Hey, I got a hand wave too. All right. Okay, so we're going to cover pricing first and foremost. And I actually put this in print because of this. This is math, and math can sometimes really trip up a lot of people. And again, this is not math that I just came up with yesterday. This is math that has been put into place for over the last 23 years of personally my business, and then also the math of hundreds and thousands of demonstrators that have found financial success, rewarding success, and that this is the way that they run their business so that their customers are happy, so their customers come back, so their customers start to collect product, and so that their team and the team that you bring in duplicates their behavior. If you like it or not, your team is watching you. Your team learns from you. Your team will join under you and they will do what you do because they know nothing better. Just as if when I joined, I make my meatloaf just like my mom makes her meatloaf. Let me tell you, other people do not make their meatloaf like my mom. Do you put ketchup on top of your meatloaf? My mom did, so that's what I always thought was. So, well, no matter what you do, your team will mimic you. And it's important that your team has their sales to stay active. It's important that their team is gathering sales so that they promote. It's important that your team is mimicking you so that you earn an income when your team shares what they love. So it is so much more than just that night. How much am I making? $50 or $70. These are pennies. I always say, don't try to focus on the pennies that are in front of you when the dollar bills are floating over top. So pricing is the number one key component that I work with every single demonstrator. If I have an active demonstrator or training client who comes to me, the first thing that we do, and I mean it, the first thing is I map out their pricing on their events. I do ask what events they're holding, and then we focus on pricing because it is a key component to growing your sales and also being profitable. This is the number one area where I see when change happens, this is the place where it happens. And that's why we're covering it today, because I want today to be all about the most powerful aspects. Just because a lot of us think, oh, if it's cheap, that means that more people will come. And that is absolutely not true. Personally, my event that I have that sells out almost instantly within 24 hours is my retreat. And my retreat starts at $120 and goes up to $250. And it sells out almost within 24 hours, almost instantly sometimes. So it's not about the price. It is about the value of that. It's about, is it cute? Is it fun? That is what will make a class make people come back, not because it's cheap. So my most expensive class is the one that sells out the first. That is important for you to know. So not just discounting a class or, okay, wait a minute. Oh, 15, maybe 20. I better do 15 to make so people will come. That is not the difference maker. It's not. $5 is $5. It is about the value. It's about the cuteness. It's about the fun that they have with that event. That's what's going to make the difference. So don't think just pricing things cheap means people are going to come. So there are pretty much two pricing structures that I teach. Pretty simple, right? You can choose one or you can choose the other. So you don't have to get all complicated on it. This is for your sales and for your profit. Again, ask yourself, I want you to think about you yourself. What's going to make you happy and your customer happy? We want our customers to be happy, but I want you to be happy. I want you to be happy with sales, right? If your sales were higher, wouldn't you be happier? Instead of having to scrounge for sales, but if you got your sales so that you were able to reach your own goals or to be able to meet your quota, you will feel happier and better, and you will be profitable too. So that you'll be happy. Second of all, your customer is going to be happy because it's such a good value for them as well. So the second question is, what do you want your team to do? So some of you raise your hand if you have a team, right? It's probably over half of you, I'm guessing, because I can't see you actually. Probably over half of you have a team. The other of you are probably working towards a team. All right, I just saw a hand go up with Linda. All right, she raised her hand. So what do you want your team to do? So if your team goes out and does a card class, right? Do you want her just to say, the class is $15 and that's it, right? How much money do you make from that as a leader? I'll tell you the math's pretty easy. You make $0 if all she's charging is $15. No orders went in, nobody placed any orders, you make nothing. Now, if your team member, because she's mimicking you, goes out and does a class for $20 or free with a purchase, it's free. Order just $25 or more, because we know the or more is going to happen because people love what we do and want all the cute, pretty things, then it's free. So now she's keying in an order for $250, right? Now she gets paid from Stampin' Up! Like $60, right? How much do you get paid? You get paid too. you get paid a percentage. You start at 3.5% up to 6.5%, depending on your title. So now when your team member goes out and does a class, she's happy because she's getting sales. She's staying active. She's still making this almost the same amount of money, and you get paid too. Guess what? Stampin' Up gets paid too. So does your leader above you get paid too. It is what will keep the company healthy, your business profitable, and your leader too. It is all a thing. So this is the most healthy. I've been around for 23 years. When I started 23 years ago, that was all that we did. It's the only thing we did. There's nothing else out there. So this is why we also learn and change with the trends. Obviously, I continue to change with the trends. And this pricing structure is for your online classes and your face-to-face classes. Every single thing, I should have said at the very beginning, every single thing that I will talk about, I do both face-to-face and online. Everything. There's not one thing that I cannot do online that I don't do face-to-face. So my card classes online are the same thing. So as an example, for my live event, I would charge $20 to come that night, or it's free with a minimum of a $25 order. Hello, it's kind of dumb to just pay me $20 when you can put it in an order and get product for it and get it for free. And I would never call anybody dumb, but in my mind, I'm saying that's dumb. But I would never say that. But I would say, are you sure? Have you done the math? And typically people put in the order to get their class for free. The second thing is I do online free with purchase classes. I do them every single month. Sometimes I do them weekly. And those I do a $40 minimum order because I also have to pay for the shipping to go to them. Now at my live event, I have expenses too. I have to drive there. I have to, I used to have a babysitter. And I would have expenses too of either having people at my house or if I have a snack or something. So with my online one, I have the shipping expense, which is usually between $350 to $450, depending on where they live. So to me, it kind of equals out. But my online minimum is it's free with a $40 minimum online purchase. So that is free with a purchase. So number one, you get paid your instant income and your volume rebate off that order. So Stampin' Up pays you instead of them. And so when I'm talking with a customer and they're going, I don't get this. I'm like, listen, you can pay me if you want to, or you can let Stampin' Up pay me and you get the product for your money. So I choose to let Stampin' Up pay me. Number two, you get to get the host rewards to replace the income. So if I have 8 people at my class and they're all placing orders, my order, and again, it's a minimum 25. Most people, it's pretty split. There's a few that put in just the minimum. There's a few that put in the middle, and then there's a couple who put in some pretty big orders. So it all balances to one good size order. I get the host rewards from that. So I'm able to you are able to replace your card stock, get a new stamp set, replace embellishments. So typically I will get cardstock and embellishments that I will use at my next month's card class. So typically the cardstock and ribbon or gems that I'm using haven't cost me anything because I use my host rewards to replace those things and to think ahead for the next month. So you get that. Those of you who are doing flat fee classes, what do you do with that $20 you get or that $15? You're typically turning around and just placing an order to get more stuff. So you're really not making any money. Whereas with a free with purchase class, you are getting your sales and then you're using your host rewards to get the product. And then you get to keep your money that comes through Stampin' Up through your monthly paycheck and through your instant income. The orders, again, can be so much more. They're at a minimum of 25. And the last one is very important. I've had people, and you can combat me all you want. You're more than welcome to. And again, I always recommend that you just trust experience, trust results, trust years and years and years and years and years of many thousands of people doing this, but you can still question it. Totally good. A lot of people naturally do that. But you don't take. So yes, if somebody puts in a $25 order, my instant income and my volume rebate is not $20. So if I would just take $20, you are right. Off that one order, I would have made more money. But we don't take it off of one order. I don't think Stampin' Up takes their profit off of one demonstrator over the whole. They take all of us together. They can take everybody. So they take the whole to decide their profitability. Same thing here. I take all the orders that I collected, all the money that I collected, because some people do still put the fee in. That's okay. Usually it's my team members that come because they can put their orders in themselves. So they'll pay me the fee. I take all the money that I've collected off of the whole order, and then that's my profitability. That's the money. And so I also, so I have money, but then I also have the sales to go along with it, and so will you. So that's the concept of a free with purchase. Number 2 are product-based classes. So this is the other pricing that I would recommend. This one, I do think that takes a little bit more planning because you have to be able to plan your projects, plan your product, and then order it ahead of time. What I love about the free with purchase is that I can literally just use what I have in stock and then do my class and then order more afterwards. So the product-based class, you have to order ahead of time before your class, which sometimes can be tricky. But for more established businesses or people that have some established customers, this is an incredible way, awesome way to price your classes. You should have both of these on your schedule. Every single demonstrator should have one simple card class free with purchase because you can invite people there. You can take people last minute. Like it's something that you can be more flexible with. I also would have a product-based class every single month as well. This one though takes, RSVPs, pay in advance. You have to have a little bit more planning on this concept, but this is the other pricing concept. So it is a product-based. So the class includes product. So it includes your sales. It includes your profit, your income. So I know when someone comes, I know how much I'm making. Now, obviously, we try to upsell there. And we also upsell what's called the add-on. So I love to talk about the add-on. We'll get there in a second. Let me give you a sample pricing. So as an example, and then let me show you one. Oh, let's see if I can go real quick. I'll come back here. Okay, good. Can you guys see me still? All right. So this is a sample of a product-based class. I just grabbed one because it was here. So because I run a lot of these. A product-based class includes product. Do you guys see a stamp set in here? Do you see a bundle? Nope. What do you see? Do you see ribbon? And this is from a couple months ago, but you see ribbon, you see gems, dots, Wink of Stella. I need a new Wink of Stella every month. I don't know about you, but I go through about one a month, right? And then you have your card pack. And by the way, the card packs are always all labeled. So this is what is a product-based class. Now we used other bundles. We used other things. Here's an example of, well, that's not a very good one. These things just are laying around next to me, but I do a lot of product-based classes where product is included, but we include the consumables. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen now. I just wanted to show you guys that because I had it just sitting right here in front of me. Crafters do not always like to be told what to do. Some of them do. Some of them like to follow things exactly. Other ones need a little bit of creativity, wiggle room. And other ones just want to be rogue and do their own thing. So it's important that you don't include the bundle or the stamp set. Number one, it makes the class very expensive because they still need the paper, they still need the dot, they still need all those extra little things. But also a lot of crafters are hobby demonstrators. A lot of crafters have already bought things that they want. So they may already own that bundle. If I'm using a flower bundle, they may be like, I have 10 flower bundles, Rhonda. I don't need another one. So if you include the bundle, you're going to make your class like $100. And then you're going to exclude them because they don't want another flower bundle. So instead, a product-based class includes about $29 in product. That typically means it's a pack of paper, a ribbon, and a gem. Sometimes it's a half a pack of paper, a ribbon, a gem, and a wink of Stella, or a set of note cards. It's something that they're going to use up. So they're going to need more. They're going to use that ribbon. They're going to use those gems. They're going to cut into that paper. They're going to use all the note cards. So you're not just giving them fluff. They're actually going to like use it. So a sample pricing is, and this is for a face-to-face event, is $40. And then it includes about $29 in product. I have a card class that is $39.50 and includes about $25 in product. I also just ran a stamp camp. It was $59 and included about $40 in product. So it includes, you will vary your price will vary based on how much your product is that you included. So a couple things. If you're doing this class to go so that you're shipping it to them, then you need to add on the shipping cost. So I always tell everybody what bundle I'm featuring or what stamp set I'm using. And sometimes I usually stick to one or two at the most. And I let them know which ones they are. They can use one of their own. They can, or they can purchase it. And I will give them the opportunity to add the bundle on or add on the stamp set. This is where it really increases my sales. I actually started the add-on about 2 or 3 years ago, and I really mapped it out. And from one year to the next, my business is very clockwork. It's very the same. It doesn't fluctuate. And so, but from one year to the next, my sales grew by $60,000. It was a huge growth that year. And the only thing I changed, and it's because Constant Contact added this feature. It was an add-on feature. So now we can add on things onto their classes. So just the add-on alone increased my sales by 33% that year. 33%. So people, not everybody, don't force anybody to have to get a bundle or have to get a stamp set. Instead, the ones that want it can. And it's usually about 30% of people do add it on. The other ones will use what they have, but they'll still buy your class. If you tell them you have to have that and you have to buy it, then they're not even going to buy your class. So you just lost to them. Instead, you can still do a class that includes all the consumable items. But let me tell you why I really actually include those items. Number one, I don't have time to cut all their paper. Number two, I'm not sitting there and chopping ribbon all day long. Number three, I'm not taking those gems and cutting off 6 of this and 2 of that. So instead, I can order it, put it in their packet, charge them for it, and then they get to have all the leftovers. In the beginning, I used to have all these leftovers because I'd give them 2 of this sheet. I'd cut the paper. I'd have all this paper left over that I didn't do anything with. To cut the ribbon used to make me want to throat punch somebody, to be honest with you, the time that it would take to do all of that. And then to cut the dots. So I started just adding the whole thing in, let them deal with it. And what I very soon realized is that my customers and your customers love that. They love having all of it. They love using it and seeing it in use and then using the leftovers on their other projects. So it is all about, yes, your sales, but it's also about saving you a lot of time in your prep work. The add-ons of the stamp sets, you can add on the stamp pads if you want to, because obviously we can't do the stamping for them if they are online. If it's face-to-face, they can use my bundle, they can use my stamp set, but human nature is everybody wants what everybody else has. So they will want to purchase it as well. Now, whenever I do any event that is to go or online or virtual, they cut their own paper. So I do give them the measurements to cut their paper. That way, if they screw up, they can cut more. They have the whole pack. They have the whole pack. If they don't like the piece I chose, they can choose another piece. So they have the whole pack. Then once you guys know, once your creative mojo is going, it keeps on flowing. So this way, instead of just having just the pieces they need, they have the whole pack to play with. Or a lot of times I do a half a pack of paper. So I'll split. So they'll get one piece of each. So that way they can play with it more. Or for shipping purposes, a lot of time I will cut my pack of paper down to 6 by 12. So then that way I can just I can ship it a little bit easier. Happy customers love product and they love a great value. And this is why people will come to your classes, not because they're cheap, but because they're happy and it's a great value. And you guys know you're happy when you have they get all of it. But in honesty, it also saves us time and it increases our sales. So if I had 10 people who took this class, my sales would be right about $300, just right off the bat. How I price these, just so you know, is I take the price of the product, I add on the shipping and the tax. So in our sample pricing, if you take $29 and I live in Michigan and I added on the shipping and the tax of the product, because that's Stampin' Up charges us that, then it would be right about $33. And then I added on $7. That $7 is just an extra profit because you still get paid your volume rebate and your instant income off of that order. So you're going to get paid again at the end of the month. That $7 covers, any incidental expenses I have. If I'm shipping, I might include, like the bags and the labels. So, or if I have to pay for a helper to come in and help me, that helps me pay for my helper. Or it's just money, just you getting paid. So take the cost of the product, add your shipping, add your tax, and then I round up. So that would be a $40 class. All right, so that's pricing. The next section is marketing. This is the number 2 place where I see pretty much everybody needs some help and guidance. I know very few people, and I might be able to count about 6 or 7 or maybe 10 that I am impressed with their marketing, with the thousands of people that I'm into. Marketing is key for your success in any shape or form. If you run 1 class a month, if you run 3, if you run 10, if you have a face-to-face business only, if you have a hybrid, which I love hybrid businesses, or if you're all online, it doesn't even matter. Marketing is the key. If people do not know about your events and your classes and what you're offering, they can never come. You feel like a failure sometimes because only 2 people showed up. Well, maybe because only 4 people saw the invitation. So you have to make sure that more people see what you're offering more often, and then your attendance will increase. The most successful demonstrators that I know are not afraid to market and communicate. So you can call it marketing, you can call it communication. I would think, maybe you might think, the most successful demonstrators are the ones that have the biggest customer base, or they have, they're the most talented stampers. That is not what I see at all. It is the ones that communicate the most and market the most. They are the most successful ones. And I know the reason why you don't market more. I absolutely know. I can tell you why. Number 1 is because you forget. You just don't do it. It's not on your radar. And before you know it, your class is next week and you haven't even said or done anything. So you just take the few people who come because they already know. Number 2, you don't market because you don't want to be pushy. I'm afraid I don't want to be a salesman. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to offend anybody. Okay, when another business markets, does that offend you? Like when Amazon sends you an email, do you get offended? No, marketing is not offensive. Now, if you heck, you could even send an email a day and it wouldn't be offensive. It's called marketing. It's what you're supposed to do. It's your job. If you had a marketing manager in your business, what would you expect them to do if you were to pay them? If you were to pay them like a weekly wage or a monthly wage, what would your job description be? That's what you need to do. Guess what? You are your own marketing manager. I know a couple demonstrators that actually have somebody who helps them with marketing, but the other 99.9% of us, we are our own marketers. So, with that being said, we have to have a system. I see a lot of people who do great with marketing for one month. Usually it's because they've attended one of my trainings and they're motivated and excited. And so they do it they like all of a sudden they send out 3 emails and 3 posts and they're so excited. And then life gets in the way. Then your brain starts to get in the way. You start to self-doubt. You start to there's this part of our brain that talks to both of us, right? You're worried about being pushy. What are people going to think about me? Do you know what? I just as soon do this that night, right? Marketing is all very clear cut. It's not a gray area, it's a black and white area. You need to develop a system. So, the system that I follow and that I train and that I recommend for success is a 3-part marketing system. Every single it's not that means you do 3 emails a month. No. It's every event needs 3 actions, 3 emails. 3 it's 3 step. Just count 1, 2, 3. All right, I did my first one. Okay, that was my 2. When's my 3? It's really simple. This is like kindergarten simple, right? 1, 2, 3. So, um the other thing is if you're a lot of people that I work with, they'll come to me only doing 1 email a month and like, okay, here's my newsletter, here's everything. And so 1 email or I post on Facebook a couple times. 1 email or 1 post or 2 posts is not enough. That is only 33% effective. You need to meet all personality types where they are. You guys know so many different personalities. Like there are type A, there are people in the middle, there are people like me that are like fly by the seat of their pants. What am I doing tomorrow? Kind of thing, right? There's everybody in between. You have to market to all those personality types. So your type A that know what's going on. Their calendar is highlighted. Every day is a different day. And if you know who you are, you can raise your hand too, right? So you like to know what you're doing from the very beginning of the month. And then there's people that are like, okay, wait a minute. That's coming up. I gotta go talk. I'm kind of in the middle. I gotta make sure I plan a little bit. Like, all right, that's your number 2. Your number 3 is, oh my gosh, that's right. I saw that email. I wanted to go. I forgot about it. Now it's in 2 days. Yeah, guess what? I'm gonna go. That's your number 3 personality type. So this is all about meeting personalities where they are. So 3 parts. Number 1, they're every month, every single month for every event. Let me say that again. You can read it again. Every event needs these actions. Do not lump them together. So don't do 1 email that says RSVP for this plus celebrations coming up. And guess what? Buy the starter kit. And guess what? I had this retreat coming up next week or next month or whatever. 1 email. I want to break it to you, but people don't read nowadays. People don't read. Their attention span is very short. So you have their attention span enough for 1 event and that's it. So let's jump into your 3 steps. Number 1 is your initial email. Now this one I believe is targeting your more type A personalities that plan ahead and prepare. So that one could be your monthly newsletter at a glance. So let's say you run 3 events a month. You can put all 3 in there. Mark your dates for these 3 events that I'm having. Or if you just do 1, then do 1. If you do 6, you can do all 6 if you want to. So what is that? So that is the initial email. Now I send it out at the very beginning of the month. You should send out the very beginning of the month. Now, with the difference being, if your class is the first week of the month, then you got to backtrack and actually send it out the month prior. But if your events kind of start the 2nd, 3rd, 4th week, then you can do this. Your initial one can be kind of Here is the whole month. Here are my events. Here are the dates. You can start to RSVP for them. Contact number 2 is another email, an email invitation. And just so you know, I'm specifically saying email for a reason. That's not, these are specifically emails. And I know that sounds very black and white, very clear cut, but again, I am here because I value your success. And email is extremely important in your success of your classes and your events. So if you're saying, oh crap, I don't have email, I just posted on Facebook. Well, guess what? You better start an email list. All right, number 2 is an email invitation a week before the deadline. So not a week before your event, it's a week before the deadline, or kind of halfway in between. So let's say you only gave yourself 8 days when you started the marketing, then it's 4 days in. I really shoot for 10 to 14 days when I begin an invitation to when I am to the deadline. I think that 10 days to 2 weeks is the kind of the perfect amount. If you give them more, people kind of get lost along the way. If you give them less, you're not giving yourself time to do your 3-part marketing system. So it's typically, let's say, a week ahead of time. You're going to do email invitation number 2. This one may include a couple samples to entice them. This one is counting on the kind of that middle range personality where they do plan a little bit ahead, but they're not last minute Susies. So they're kind of in the middle. And sometimes they would like, okay, they saw your initial invitation, they were thinking about it. This one kind of, settles them down into it, making that decision. That's number 2. Number 3 is that last chance. You have 24 hours, you have 48 hours. So this should go out between 24 and 48 hours from the deadline of the registration, not the deadline of the event, but the deadline of the registration. So that's your 3-part effective system when it comes to email. The second one is social media. Do any of you have a Facebook group, a Facebook page? Do you use maybe use Instagram, whatever social, do you use, some people might use TikTok, whatever you use, whatever social media platform you use. Most and the most effective that we've learned is Facebook. It is a social media platform, truly. It's the exact same thing. Or if you have a blog is also social media. So you should have 3 touch points, and it's the same 3 touch points. People who are necessarily reading emails are not always on Facebook, and vice versa. And some people, there are a very select few who are on all the things, but if they are on all the things, it's because they love all the things. So they want to be able to see it in different places. Your job is to make sure you reach as many people and as many different places to where they are. So the 3-part marketing system is email, and it's that social media. Some of you who are completely face-to-face and don't use social media, you may work in a flyer. You may work in, I still to this day do flyers. I tuck them in my thank you cards. You might do postcards. I think print is very powerful. Print off your schedule and give it to your customers at the beginning of the month, but they should still be getting email reminders. They should still be getting those social media reminders. There is no reason why, even if you are completely face-to-face, that you are not using email and not using social media. It will only increase your business. And that's what you're here for. I'm here to tell you the truth. And that is, even if you are completely face-to-face, you can still have an online component that will help build your face-to-face business. And if you are all online, you can use these same, you have to have, this is your only option, is to use these same tools. If you struggle in this area, and most people do, almost all people do. I would almost like to be as bold to say everyone I know struggles in this area. I struggle in this area. So I am a self-proclaimed struggler where I'm like, oh my gosh, did I do my second email? Did I do my second post? Like, oh my gosh, I missed it or whatever. So if you struggle in this area, write down in your planner. You have to write this down before it becomes an absolute habit. So I'll be honest with you, I don't have to write mine down because it is like ingrained in my in my brain. And I don't know why I'm thinking about bread right there, but it's ingrained in my brain. Like it's everything I do is so consistent. That means my marketing is so consistent. That means my emails are so consistent. So eventually your brain is so smart. It will remember, but it will take you months and months and months and months before your brain is trained. So until then, you need to write down exactly when you're going to send out these emails. Now, rest assured, you don't have to start these emails from scratch. Most times I'm just copying the one I did before, changing hey, make sure you get this. Sometimes I'll add in a few little sneak peeks to entice people, but they're pretty much the same information. So I'm just kind of copying them. But you need to write them down. And if you don't know when to do it, I'm going to give you a sample here. Also, texting is a very powerful form of marketing and communication. So a lot of you might already do texting, or you can add texting in. There are services where you can have SMS messaging, it's called. But texting is also a very, very powerful form of marketing. So texting can be added to this program, or you can actually use texting where you go directly to their inbox. I would love to do a whole training on that too, and I have, but I can't spend the time on it. But texting is also that's very powerful as well. Let me give you an example of a timeline. Let's say your event that you're holding, it's a card class. Okay, a card class. It's a card club, maybe a kit night, but your event is on the 20th, February 20th. So you have to ask yourself, when am I going to prep for that? Like, do you have a certain day that you prep on? Maybe you work just on weekdays or just on weekend. Those of you work full time, maybe you work just on weekends. I don't know when you prep. I don't know when. Do you prep the day of? Do you prep the day before? Do you prep a week ahead of time? That's all. I can't tell you exactly how much time you need. Everybody needs different time. Personally, I only prep on Wednesdays or Thursdays. So those are my 2 days that I only do my prep work. So I have to work around that, just to give you an example. Because I have other jobs that I do Monday and Tuesday. I do fully training those days, nothing but training. And then Friday is kind of like a flex day that I use more for shipping. So I know that my deadline has to be by the Tuesday before my event so that I can take Wednesday and Thursday to do my prep work. That's just an example. You may have Saturday be your prep day. You may have Monday nights. I don't know, whatever it is. So you figure out the day that you are going to be getting ready for your event. And for a lot of you, and for many years for me, it was the day before. That's when I did it, or the day of, or midnight of the night before the event. So whatever you do that works for you. But I have to know that date because I have to set my RSVP date based on that. So in this instance, my RSVP date is going to be a week ahead of time. February 13th is the deadline to register. So that's my key date, not the 20th. The 13th is my key date. So now I backtrack from there. My initial post will always be the first of the month, or maybe the first of the month I'm traveling. So I'll do it before I leave, or I'll schedule it. I'll do it before I leave, but I'll schedule it on the first, or sometimes if I'm super busy, it'll go out on the second, but I try to do it on the first of the month. I will do my initial email about that event, or again, maybe a month at a glance. I'll also do my initial post. So your initial blog post, your initial social media post, that will go out on the first. Write it in your planner. Post email. You're going to feel so good when you check that off. Even if you know you're going to do it, still write it in there. Do I have anybody who writes things in and checks them off, even though like you've already done them, just because it feels so good to check off? Do it. Write them down until it becomes like clockwork. I still write these down just because I love to be able to check things off that I know I got it done. Number two, remember, three-part system. Number two is the reminder. So this one, I'm going to do it on the 7th. That's what I'm going to email. Now, personally, I can even like schedule this out. I can, on my email system, I use Constant Contact. I can actually just copy, change the dates, maybe add in a graphic or two, then I can just schedule it right then. Takes another maybe 5 minutes. I can just schedule it for the 7th. If not, just go in, copy and paste your old one, maybe tweak a few words to say you only have a week left. This is your reminder to make sure that you have signed up for this class. You don't want to miss it. Bring a friend with you, So my second email reminder would be on the 7th, because that's kind of in between. That's that midway point. I would do my post the next day. When I can stagger these, it's even better. So maybe they might get an email from me one day, but the post the next day. That just reinforces it. People do not always open your emails. It's probably about 30% that do, and they don't always read. So getting reinforced with a post on social media makes them realize, oh, wait a minute, I got an email about that. Or they might read one or they might read the other. So you are not overdoing it. There is very, very, very few people who are doing all the things. So you're just catching them where they are at the moment. Most people are doing things very quickly, reading them very quickly, and moving on to the next thing. So there's your point number 2 with email and a post. Step number 3 is the 2 days beforehand. One will be an email, one will be a post. Last chance. You have 24 hours left to sign up for this class. What I have found over the years, many, many, many years, was that I would have about 20% of the people who would sign up right away. My next email would be about 30% the next time. My last email generates probably 50% of my signups. That's how it has always been. It's not that way anymore, and I'll just be honest with you, and that's because my classes sell out very quickly. So I have trained my customers to sign up right away. So it's not like that for me anymore. And if you're following me and saying, Rhonda, you don't do this, it's because I can't. I sell out on my first email typically. Sometimes I'll have a second. So in this instance, don't do what I do now, do what I did then. And I did this 3-part system for many, many, many years. And this is what I teach and train, because this is what works. Eventually, who knows, maybe your classes will sell out and fill out too, and then you won't have to do the multiple ones because you will train your customers to sign up right away. But typically, that is what happens. Most people join on the final email. The last part about this before we jump into the ending is these do not have to be fancy to work. You don't have to know all the things. When I very first started, I just used my little AOL account with my emails to start with, right? I just did Facebook, started 15 years ago, real basic. Yes, I have progressed, and yes, I have come a long ways. But I honestly am still not fancy. I still believe that simple works. It's better to be done than be perfect. So many people want things to be perfect before they execute. And sometimes the art of being perfect slows you down and pulls you back and stops you. And so you'll be perfect eventually. It's all right. You'll get there eventually after I make quite a few mistakes. And I learn, I'll be better, but you don't need to be fancy. You just need to communicate and over communicate. Now, to help with my emails and my posts, I love Canva. Oh, it changed it to Canvas. That was autocorrect. I love Canva to create graphics. Graphics are easy to make on there, and they do give you a little bit level of professionalism. And then I have something to share. I also, and for 14 years probably, have been using Constant Contact for my email and also for my registration. So I'm sharing this with you because it is a secret, not a secret, but it is a reason for my success when it comes to registration and it comes to growth of my email list, is I do use Constant Contact to help me generate those emails and to generate events and event planning. It allows me to do one-click ordering where I can just share a link. People can, just like you signed up for this, that was Constant Contact. So it's a link, you gather their information. Now you guys didn't have to pay for this, but if it was a paid for event, I could have charged you and they would have charged you your credit card or PayPal. And I could have done add-ons. I could have added on a bundle, added on a stamp set. I could have added on. So Constant Contact is a key reason why that I believe that these things are also even more successful than they would be otherwise. So anyway, I like to share that there are tools that I have used. Canva I use for my graphics, and that can be free. I also pay for the paid version, just because there's some really other cool fonts and graphics I love to use. And Constant Contact, 100% from my day one, has been one of the reasons for success of my email list. For those of you who think that, Ronda is some big online demonstrator, I absolutely positively am not. I do not blog, and I maybe do 2 or 3 videos a month. So what I do is I'm an email marketer. I email people into their inbox. So any of you can do that. That doesn't take special skills. It just takes communicating and emailing. So you don't have to be some big online demonstrator to find success, but you do have to build your email list. All right, this last section is growth tips. And these are just some, I covered, those are the 2 main things that if you do not have your proper pricing, and if you do not do any marketing, God love you, no matter what you do, you cannot grow. You cannot. So, or you'll grow very, very, very slowly. Or if your pricing isn't correct, you're going to grow and you're going to keep hitting this brick wall. You're going to keep hitting, I'm not making money. I'm doing all this work. No one's buying product. Nobody's ordering the starter kit. People won't buy the starter kit if they don't love the product. So you have to get them buying the product first. So if you are running into brick walls, these are the 2 main things that I literally spend hours and hours and hours every single week helping people. So those are the main basics. Now, last, I just want to give you a couple tips. It's for growth in general. And the beauty of direct sales is that it is so multifaceted, which means there's so many different things that we can do. There's not one way to peel a pineapple but there are some very important things. Oh, well, number 1, my growth tip is to pray often for your business, in your business. This is 100%. My business is built off of prayer and belief that today I prayed probably 10 times. I prayed I cut my paper straight. I prayed you guys would all, glean some amazing things today. I prayed every day. Every day I wrap my business in prayer. I believe that I am human and I can only do human things. But when I have an almighty God that is with me, then an almighty amazing things can happen. So that's number 1 in my growth tip is I would prefer to have an all-knowing, amazing God that can lead my way and not Rhonda. So that's my number 1 tip for growth. Number 2, or number 1 on this, these are like factual things. These are things that I think every single successful demonstrator has in place. Number 1 is a skeleton calendar. If you are running your business willy-nilly, guess what you're going to get? Willy-nilly results. So what we want here is consistency, and a skeleton calendar means every month the bones are the same. Every month you don't have to overthink it. The less decisions that you make, the better. Your brain needs less decisions in a day. Your business needs less decisions. So it's the same thing every month. It's repetitive, repeat, habit, habit, habit. That's good for you. It's good for your family. And it's really good for your customers to get into a habit when they have class. It's very important. So these are the things that should be in your skeleton calendar. If you are online or face-to-face, a monthly card class that's free with purchase, a kit night where they can come and pick their kit and make whatever they want, I wish I could go in more detail on that, but we don't have time. But again, I do trainings on it all the time, but kit nights, and how you run them, bringing in new people. It's an easy night to find new customers. Number 3, a product-based class where you're including that product, right? It could be a stamp camp. It could be a stamp a stack. It could be a sampler. It could be scrapbooking. It could be whatever you want, but it is the concept is a product-based class. And you know what that is now, right? You know that pricing structure. Number 4 is a card club. Card club is a recurring people. This, if you notice, by the way, did you notice that was number 4 on my list? Not number 1. Number 4 is for your current customers. Your loyal, your diehard, your ride or dies, right? But if that is all you focus on, you're never going to meet new people. Card class is where you can invite new people. Kit night is where you invite new people. Product-based classes where people can bring a friend. So a card club, though, I do love is recurring income. It's a recurring people. I run mine as a recurring payment, and they get a set amount of products every month, and then they make a set amount of projects. Some people run their clubs where they have to place an order every month. That's up to you. Either way, it's a club that meets together. Number 5 is your recurring larger event. So maybe you do a retreat or a stamp camp or a bingo or whatever you do, a mega class. And there's so many things that we can do, which I love. It gives our business diversity, makes us all different. But that should be a skeleton calendar. So as an example, every 3rd month I have a retreat. Every 3rd month I have a bingo. Every 3rd month I have a stamp camp, and they just kind of rotate. So it's recurring. It's my skeleton calendar. I already know next September, I know that I'm going to have a stamp camp. Next October, I know I'm having a retreat. Next August, I know I'm having a bingo because it's recurring. It's a skeleton calendar. And guess what? Not only do I know, but my customers know. Number 6 is your Facebook Live, your YouTube Live class. Again, for a face-to-face business or online, this is a recurring skeleton event. It could be their weekly. A lot of people do weekly Facebook Live classes, not just presentations, but classes, events. Number 2, bring a guest incentive every month, every event. Word of mouth is still your best way to grow. Bring a friend, bring a neighbor, bring your mother, bring your daughter, bring your granddaughter, bring your sister, bring your best friend. If people are having fun and your class is priced at value, they will bring their friend. I like to bribe people. If I want something, I'm going to bribe you. This, I don't know, works. I dangle the carrot. I always say my title is the master of dangling the carrot. And so you dangle the carrot, what people want. So you bring a guest incentive can be different every month. Bring a new person with you, and you each get 5 free cards, and you can pick from my card rack. Bring a person with you, and you each get 20 sheets of designer series paper. Do any of you have any retired paper anywhere? Anybody? I think you might have a few sheets sitting around somewhere, right? Use them. I use them to bribe people. Your paper has power. Bring a friend and you both get 20 sheets of designer series paper. It's retired. I don't use current paper. I use retired paper. And a lot of it is celebration paper. So I didn't even pay anything for it to begin with. So if you see me ever doing purchase this and get a free pack of paper, it's retired paper that is free. So it doesn't cost me anything. Use it. Anyway, so every month you can, but you have to advertise for it. So when you email out, bring a friend and you'll get this gift of the month. Bribe people, use it, ask for people to bring a friend. Number 3, have a funnel event on your calendar every month. So in your skeleton calendar, I didn't put it in there, but every month, the demonstrators that I know that are the most successful, the ones that have the secret sauce where why do they always seem to find new people? It's because they have a funnel event on their calendar every month. For example, they might be doing craft fairs. They might be working at a local library and offering a class. You offering classes in a third-party location where they're doing the advertising, you're working together. And I'm telling you, all you guys have to do is go out there and ask and look. I just moved into a new apartment in a place that's an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half away. The very day that I got there and got walked around by the person, there's a clubhouse, and they had this beautiful room with all these tables. And she was like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, well, I teach paper crafting. She was like, oh my gosh, we'd love to put you on our calendar to teach paper crafting classes. Like, that's what people want. They want fellowship, church groups, after school activities, park and rec departments, libraries, coffee shops. If anybody ever says an excuse to me that there's no place to do classes, I will challenge you a million times over that who have you asked? Who have you called? What places have you reached out to? Because they want what you have to offer. Those are things that these community type activities, it's what you're designed for. It's what we can do. So if you want to find new customers, start offering your classes in third-party locations, and then you will meet people that will connect with you. You will meet people who will fall in love with what you're doing, and then they will come to your other events that you have because you have a skeleton calendar, because you have a calendar to lead them into all the other amazing fun things that you do. A funnel event is parties with a hostess. If you have a hostess, she's inviting her friends. That's more people that you didn't know that you can influence. I know that's old school, but you can also do these parties on Facebook. I just did one of my training clients is Tracy Travis, and I just had her train on how she does 6 to 7 Facebook parties a month. And that's where she has met so many of her new customers. So Facebook parties, I still like face-to-face parties with a hostess. Grab a friend, grab a person, invite 3 or 4 or 5 of your friends. We don't need to have 20 people. I actually like to just have 4 or 5 people. But that is where you meet new people that will funnel into your business. And lastly, Facebook Lives. This is a place where you can find new people. You'll find Facebook is a social place. And you could also do those on YouTube. If you do them on YouTube, share them on Facebook. If you do it on Facebook, share it on YouTube. But these are also a way for you to find new people. Number 4, make sure you are growing your email list every week. Do you have an email list? That's question number 1. If you do, make sure you're adding people in. If you add them manually, if you're really serious about growing your business, you might want to look into an email service that actually helps you gather them 24/7 from your blog, your Facebook, a link that you share. So with Constant Contact, I just have a link that I can put in my Facebook and my website, on YouTube, on anything I do. I just share that link, and people can join my email list 24/7. So every week we have people who add on. So having a service definitely takes you to that next step. Number 5, you've heard me talk a lot about today, right? Events. Talked about classes. That's all I've talked about, because guess what? That's what works. That is where you're going to produce sales. That is where you're going to have a place to gather and to teach other people and show our product. It's instead of so many people just think, oh, if I do a craft fair and show what I do, if I do a video, show what I do. I see other people do videos and they have sales. If I just do a blog post and I'm just going to show things, it's changing your mindset that instead of showing people what to do or showing people what you can do, focusing on teaching them how they can make it too. It's a huge mindset. And so it's all about events. At events, we teach. At events, we provide places for them to come and make things. When you're just showing what you can do, that is not getting people the desire to buy what you're doing so they can do it. So events equals sales. Classes is where you're going to be able to actually seal the deal too, because the class has a price, and a price, again, free with purchase. All good things are going to take perseverance. That means it doesn't happen overnight, right? It doesn't even happen over a month. It doesn't even happen over sometimes like 3 to 6 months. Yes, we want to see a progression, but building something that is good is going to take you some time and perseverance. You will run into roadblocks. You will run into hiccups. You will do that. But it does take dedication, consistency, and perseverance. So I always recommend after tonight that you will set your 6-month and 12-month goals. And it's not just about like sales. Maybe it's maybe you want to start a card class. So you have a goal to have I want to have 6 people at my card class. That's my 6-month goal. Then my 12-month goal is I want to have a card class that has 12 people. Or maybe you want to start a club. I want to have 10 people as a part of my club. At the end of the year, I want to have 24 people as a part of my club. So set some goals and then give yourself a 6-month and a 12-month goal. And the people who make it happen, perseverance, dedication, and consistency. The last thing I'm going to give you is to don't stamp alone. If you're alone all the time in your craft room, you are not influencing anybody. Stamp with people, invite a friend over with you, invite a neighbor. Like, yes, I have people who work in my studio now and I pay them. For probably 18 years, I did not. I would invite team members over to help me with swap cards. I paid them with a good friendship and a cup of coffee. That's how we got paid. But we did it together and it was fun and it was rewarding. Every single Friday for so many years. We had friends that got together and all we did was make our customer thank you cards and our downline cards. And we just did it together. But during that time, you influence other people. Number one, they're going to want what you have. But they're also going to see they're going to get to craft and create. There's so much power that happens over stamps, ink, and paper. What we do is very addicting. It's very emotionally addicting. So we need to get more people to do it with us. And yeah, come on over for free and help me. Like, just don't ever stamp alone. I also know I'm so much more productive when people are with me, and so much more powerful and influential. You will inspire other people. So if you need to make swap cards, have a friend come over, have a downline come over, have a neighbor come over and help you. If you need to create invitations or do sorting of a class, like who can you have come over and give a helping hand, and you just spend time together. And I used to like give them a free stamp set or give them a hostess set or give them something like that. But it is all about just inviting, the invitation. And that's where you build friendships, you build connections, and people who will want to be a part of what you're doing. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And number one, to thank all of you guys for being here. I am so grateful that you've spent this time. I know I knew it'd be a good solid hour that we would go through all of this. The next step is up to you. I always say that it's the action takers that make the difference. It's the not second guessing yourself and not overthinking things, but taking action on what you've learned and what you know. I know all of you have knowledge in your brain too, and then putting those pieces together, that is what makes a difference. It's your belief that what you have to offer is so powerful. The act of just creating, the act of doing it together is so powerful. And when you believe that, it becomes about those other people and not just about what's in it for you. Don't focus on you, focus on them. But remember, take your brain with you. Price your classes properly and powerfully so that you're getting paid and you are getting your sales. So a lot of these are basics. Obviously, there's so much more. Again, this training program has been on for 15 years. For 15 years, every single week, we do a training. Now, they're not usually this long. Sometimes they're shorter. Sometimes they are this long. We just did one about how to earn the incentive trip. And yep, every week was about an hour long with homework assignments. Other times they are just like, okay, last week or this week we talked about how to find your brand. Next week we'll talk about helping you do prep work for your classes. So we cover basic things as well. But so this training program, if you have any interest, you can ask me about it. On the next sheet, I covered all the different programs that I offer. For those of you who are not already a part of it, I know many, many, many of you are already a part of it. But the business builders is the basic. It's where you just get every week, you'll have training to help support you. If you want that support, if you want to continue to work and build, then that is there for you. But tonight is those basics. And even for the people who are a part of our program, this is where we start and then we move from there. And we can talk about all the other things that there are to talk about. I'd love to be able to take your questions, but there's just so many of you. But you can always send me a message if you have questions. You can post on my Facebook. But I am so grateful that you guys have humbled me to give me this time. And I'm excited about what you do with your business. So it is, you have to believe in yourself and believe in what you heard and believe in what you know. And then I know that you can take this to the next level if you want to. And the next level for all of you is different. It might be just step one. Some of you might be trying to earn the trip. Some of you might be trying to break into the top 50 of the company. And I know it just always is about taking that next step. All right, you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you for spending this with me. And I will be sending out the recording too, in case you want to listen to it again. But you should have this document as well that kind of will follow along everything that we covered. Thank you. Bye-bye.